You're listening to Adventures in Project Management with John Goad.
Hey everybody, I am glad to be here today to talk to you about my next topic. So, I want to talk to you about tools. As a recovering carpenter, I love collecting tools. I love cleaning and sharpening tools. I love having tools. I love using tools. I love learning how to master tools. It's all about tools, man. I really like tools. And I'm not opposed to owning lots of tools or more tools, hand tools, power tools. But I have more tools than I would ever need or ever use. So I started out acquiring tools that I thought I might need when I was starting in the trades. And then it became, kind of those that I wanted to have in addition to the ones that I needed to do my job. Some of my tools are brand new and some of them are very old. I really like old hand tools. They're just something amazing. Just the fit and the finish of an old hand tool, like a hand plane, block plane, jack plane, something like that, that you just get it in your hand and it just feels good. And you go through, I don't know. I really love it. So, but I know how to use all of my tools that I own, but I've only mastered some. I haven't mastered all of them. Some of my tools were free, and some of my tools cost a lot of money. Just ask my wife. But I remember receiving, I was on a project when I was basically a kid, young in my 20s, and I was the surveyor, so layout man and carpenter foreman for this project in Nebraska. It was a beef packing plant that we were putting in addition to, and one of the iron workers there gave me a pair of Kleins, a pair of pliers, number 3 Kleins. And they were kind of standard issue for the iron workers at that time. And I'll never forget it. It was a really great gesture. The guy was a pretty nice guy, for an iron worker. I can say that because my family has a pile of iron workers back in the lineage. But he was a good guy, and he gave me these Kleins. And guess what? I still have them today, and I still use them on my farm. And so they mean something to me. There's like a connection there, Some of the expensive tools I use occasionally, but since I'm no longer in the trades, I have them. And if my wife's watching, I will be using all of them soon, somehow, I promise. but anyway, over the years, I've also kind of amassed a lengthy list of kind of tech in terms of my software and apps and other project management tools over the years. And so similar to my carpentry days, there's no shortage of expensive or complex or comprehensive project management tools and software and apps that are available out there. But there's a whole lot of low cost or no cost options out there as well. But let me be clear here. I'm not here to speak poorly against fully integrated project management software or anything like that. There are some amazing tools out there, but I'm not reviewing software. That's not the purpose of what I'm talking to you today about. And so, maybe someday I'll get into some reviews of softwares that I have used and, kind of give my read on what's worked and what hasn't. But one pet peeve I have, though, when you're doing a search for something online, and I do a lot of online research, as most everybody does these days, and it's funny because a lot of times when I look up something project management or project related, it seems as though a lot of the forums and things that come up are all sponsored by some project management or accounting software. And that's okay, but I can't help to think, and I know there's a lot of information on some of these sites, but I can't help to think that maybe some of what they're saying is a little bit skewed, and so that kind of bugs me a little bit. It's not it's not the end of the world, but I know some platform developers and software people that are selling their wares are out there to get people to buy more, to buy more of their product. And that's great. But also I think sometimes things look a little more complex than they need to be. I remember going to a trade show one time when I was kind of early on working, the first few years as an owner's rep and independent project manager. And I walked into this particular, floor of a show. It was in Vegas or something, great big, hall that you walk into, and you have all the vendors and the booths and thousands of people walking around getting the free pencils and stuff like that. And I remember seeing kind of I guess he was a competitor. He was another independent guy that worked in the market that I was working in at the time. And he had a booth there. I didn't have a booth. I was just one of those guys slumming, kind of seeing what's going on, talking to people, meeting people, passing out cards, that kind of thing, doing it on the cheap. I wasn't paying for the booth. But anyway, so I kind of watched what this guy was doing. As an independent project manager, he was talking. He had a group of people in there, would-be clients, and he was telling them, the process of what you have to do in order to tee up a project. If you want to build a new building, these are all the things you have to do. And you have to have your real estate. You have to do an environmental study. You have to hire a civil engineer to give you some concepts. You have to get things permitted. You have to think about stormwater. You have to hire an architect to design a building, and he's kind of going through this whole spiel like for 30 minutes of basically scaring the pants off these guys who were would-be customers of his, thinking, holy cow, this is such a crazy and complex process. He led them down one path and one path only. And that was, if they were to hire him, he could handle all that. Everything would be great. And so I guess that's what I think about sometimes when I see, software platforms and whatnot that are sponsoring content and stuff like that. I guess I tend to like to take this simple approach to things. And I know that project management, and particularly independent project management, it's not always simple. I mean, the basics are, but you can get into some pretty complex stuff. When I worked I had some experience with the federal government as a contractor, and we had a lot of reporting requirements. We had to have project management software and to help us with the amount of reporting and that kind of stuff. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And so, but what I don't like is that when somebody's selling you something and saying either you will never be successful as a project manager or an owner building something unless you hire me, or unless you buy this software or download this app and pay me, $90 a month or whatever for the app. That's just not true, because tools can help you be successful, but tools are not why you're successful. Okay. So number one, I got a few points for you. So number one, more tools, give you more tools. Tools alone, as I just said, do not make you successful. If a few tools are good, then more must be better, right? Well, not necessarily. Whether you're a project manager, owner, contractor, consultant, whatever your gig, this applies. So I was not a successful carpenter when I was in the field because I had a lot of hammers and skill saws and cordless drills and nail guns, and tools are no substitute for knowledge, skills, and experience. They can enhance your success. They can make you more efficient. They can keep you organized and improve your success. But yeah, they're not going to be the only reason you're successful. So when I was a framer, residential carpenter, I framed and I helped build custom homes for a while. We did all the framing. We did, exterior siding and trim. I did a little bit of interior trimming as well. Excuse me. But I had my go-to tool, my trusty, in addition to my nail belt, but I had a 28-ounce Vaughan framing hammer. It was a big old stick. and a big old waffle head framing hammer. And that was my trusty go-to hammer. I also had a 20-ounce plum hammer, a smooth face that I used for siding and exterior trim, because it wouldn't leave the waffle head, I had a roofing hammer, and I had a trim hammer, and then I had a little 5-pound maul or mini sledge or something like that for pounding steaks. But so all the work that I did, boiled down to 5 hammers, and one of them was probably most important. But at some point I introduced technology, when I got into the nail gun thing and all of that. And I had, all my chisels and squares and chalk lines and pencils and sunglasses, all the important stuff. But all in all, not many tools were needed to do my job and to do it well. In those days, though, I owned probably 40 hammers. Seriously. 5 or 6 skill saws. I had hand saws. For those of you younger folks, those are they have a handle on it and it's a saw and you go back and anyway. So yeah, there's a place for that when I was in the field too. But what I found in reflecting back was owning more hammers did not make me a better carpenter. So keep this in mind when you're tooling up to manage your projects. I am all in favor for a project management software or an app. There are so many great tools out there right now. But there's also some that are just so comprehensive, you're going to have to hire a whole staff just to manage them. And that's okay if your client or your project demands that. But if it doesn't, it can just turn into this monster that's a huge suck on your time. And guess what? Those things are expensive too. So my message to you is just work to gear up correctly. Okay? Don't go overboard just because it's a name brand something or whatnot. There are so many options that are available for software and apps at a small subscription price. And so the other thing, some of those big dogs, some of the big software, you have to have training, and it takes a while to kind of get in to become capable and really become fluent in utilizing those tools. So if you don't need it, I don't own the rights to any big software, project management software. And it's not because I'm against it. It's because working as an independent guy, a lot of times my client or one of their engineers or somebody else, the contractor sometimes will have their own system. And rather than trying to reinvent the wheel and force everybody onto my software, I get the experience and the pleasure of really just using a whole lot of different types of software based upon the projects, and it works out pretty well. So I don't have to, that's why I don't subscribe to, some of the bigger software. So there you go. Number 2, options. We can all be inundated with options. So many options these days that we can lose sight of what we're trying to accomplish. I can't tell you how many times I'm in a project meeting and we just get into the weeds because there's so many details to talk about, which is great. At some point you got to spend time on the details, but it's also easy to get off track really fast. And that can happen in your software selection, in your management, your tech stack, essentially, for your management. How are you going to manage your project? How are you going to, when I was setting up this podcast, and I'll be honest, I didn't listen to podcasts before, 12 months ago, but I kind of got into it a little bit, and I was encouraged to look at doing this because I have a lot of lessons to share and I talk a little bit. And so I was just blown away at all the options of things to do. I quickly felt overwhelmed with all the ideas and, the equipment and software and third-party services and all these things. And, were just swarming around my head. I have to do all this stuff so that I can move forward. And what I found was I spent probably 60 days not moving anywhere because I was inundated with options. I didn't know which was right. I couldn't compare one to the other because I really didn't know what I was doing. This was all new to me. And so thankfully I had a friend that said, time out. time out, John. He's a podcast guru, and he said, you know what? I can help you get through the noise of some of this, marketing stuff and all these things. He says, just keep it simple right now. Do what you need to do right now. Get the equipment, get the basics that you need right now, and start getting your message out there. Start, putting out your content, and then add. You'll know what you need. You'll know where the holes are, and you can add to it over time. And I thought, wow, that is much more manageable. And so I was really super happy to hear that. And I've had clients before too that have, with really good intentions, they've bought into a lot of different software. They've bought into a lot of different programs and things like that. And all it's created is a mess and a lot of license fees. And a lot of them aren't, they're not compatible with one another in certain groups. Accounting people want to use this, the project managers want to use that, and it just becomes kind of this mess when it was all well intended early, but all it's caused is a lot of confusion. So if you can streamline, if you can simplify, if you can narrow things down, that's what's going to really help you, because we don't want you losing sight for why you're hired, why you are or have been promoted or whatnot. If you're managing projects, if you're managing a product or development, whatever, you don't want to lose sight of what you're being paid to do, and that's to get the thing to market or finish the building or whatever. Okay, these are supposed to be tools to enhance that effort, not a separate track in itself to just suck a lot of your time. Okay, so number 3, well, just pick something. That's kind of, I started to get there. So you're going to need tools to communicate and manage and track your projects for sure. And there's so much access to stuff that I mentioned before. And I did talk about, there's only a few tools that I've mastered. I like playing with tools. I like, exploring and trying new things. I'm kind of a weekend blacksmith right now. I figure I know how to hammer, but I'm learning this new trade. Will I ever be a pro at it? No, I don't think so. Will I ever master it? I don't know, man, but I'm making some pretty cool hooks and things like that, and it's kind of fun. But it's interesting to me. Okay, so that's different, just exploring something, for interest, is kind of on the recreational side of things. But if it's for the performance of your work, or if you're leading a team, you don't necessarily have time to go down some of those rabbit trails, and you don't want to be inundated by a bunch of stuff that you're not going to use. So one of the things I do in terms of picking something is, a lot of times you can benchmark what other people are using, that you'd be surprised if you don't already talk to folks, but just to kind of talk to them about what are you using for accounting software? Not everybody uses QuickBooks. What are you using for, client lead tracking and stuff like that? You'd be surprised. And a lot of folks, at least that I meet, they really like to talk about it, because a lot of people do a lot of research. And if I can pick their brain and I hear something that's working for them, man, I'm telling you, that saves me a lot of time, because then I don't have to do the research. And so, so that works out pretty good. So pick something, get started, get going, keep it simple, and you can grow from there. That is the truth. Now, beyond project management software, I've talked about that a little bit, that I don't have I have a big, in-depth, comprehensive software, and because I get to use others. But for my business, for my little business, I have a little bit of a stack that I use, and it's some very simple stuff. This isn't everything, but I wanted to kind of let you know, just give you, just kind of tell you how some of these simple tools help me stay efficient with my freelance and entrepreneurial gig. So timekeeping is really important for me. Obviously, I don't necessarily always work hourly. I work, on retainer and things like that, but it's still important for me to know where I'm spending my time, and I need something simple where I can do some analysis. If I can code my time really quickly and effortlessly, it'll just make me more efficient, and then I can look back, over the month and see where I've been spending my time, and if there's things I need to adjust, then I can do that. And so I stumbled across this app by a referral, someone who had done their homework, so I didn't have to, a few years ago, and it's called Harvest Timekeeping. And it's a great little app that, like anything you can access. I access on my PC or on my phone, my iPhone. And it really shines when I have multiple clients and multiple things to build to. I get to set up a project inside the app. I get to, custom code it. I put a rate in there. And it's literally as easy as just, hitting the app on my phone, starting a timer if I'm tracking my time, or you can customize and, type in time, that type of thing. It's like $12 a month for this thing. And I've been using it for probably 4 years now. And it's huge for me in terms of giving me a snapshot for where my time is going. So I track like marketing and sales and proposals. I track charitable stuff, if I'm giving my time to the community or something like that, because I want to be a good steward of my time, and I want to share. And so I track that as well. I don't track vacations because it would be way too small and I would be depressed. No, I'm joking. But anyway, so number 2, so scheduling. There used to be this little software called SureTrack, and then Primavera bought it out, or Oracle. It was Primavera SureTrack, which was like $400, and it was almost the full-blown Primavera scheduling, and it was awesome. But then like 10 years ago, Oracle bought it out, and then flipped it, and it all of a sudden became this limited $2,500 deal. And so myself and half the rest of the world, jumped off that boat and had to go to Microsoft Project. Well, Microsoft Project is okay. I use it. It's affordable. It's user-friendly. It does what I need it to do. I do not build, usually right now in my role as an independent PM, I don't build a lot of fully cost-loaded or resource-loaded schedules any longer. It's usually a high-level planning schedule, and then when the contractor is hired, a lot of times the contractor will hold the schedule, and then I basically just review it. And so, for that reason, Microsoft Project, tends to do it for my needs. There's a cool little app, number 3 here, for document scanning, and I know there's probably a ton of them out there, but this is Adobe Fill and Sign. It's a little app that's I think free, and there are a lot of times that I'm not in the office. I'm in the field, and maybe I'll have to sign a pay app, or I'll have to sign something, and so it's really cool. I can take a photo, and then it converts it to PDF, and then I can sign it or modify it. And I use that thing so much, I can't even believe it, and that's why I mention it, because it's just, it was kind of like I had this one time when I needed to do this, and I was doing it, I don't know, like through Word and then converting it to a PDF. Anyway, it was really cumbersome, and an engineer I was working with said, hey, you ought to check this out. Again, somebody else did the homework. I didn't. So I downloaded it, and I have been a fan ever since for several years now. And I just can't believe how much I use it. So number 4, I'm a cloud storage. I'm a Dropbox fan. It's just what works for me. I know there's a ton of different storage sites out there, and iCloud and all that stuff, but I paid $10 a month, I think, for a couple terabytes for right now, and I can up that a bunch. Field reports are another one for me. So a lot of times, I'll have to, I'll be in the field, and I'll do an observation report or something just to record my visit. And again, I used to use Microsoft Word and try to import the photos, and cumbersome. So another engineer told me, hey, you ought to check out Archisnapper, Archisnapper. And it's a cool little app that that folds your photos in really easily. You can set up custom sections. You can type away all of your descriptions. You can comment and just edit the photos. And it just makes a really cool report. It's real easy, and it cranks out a PDF for my clients. So, but those are just a few of the kind of simple tools that on my little stack that I wanted to let you know. I don't know, just kind of goes along with the tool theme here. But honestly, I did stay away from some of the fully integrated software apps, for schedule, cost control, contracts, all that stuff. And maybe sometime in the future, I'll do a little demo on some of that. But for right now, I just wanted to keep it simple. And I really wanted to emphasize selecting the right tools for what you need. Don't be afraid to let other people do homework for you or to do the research, and leverage that. Recommendations, I'll tell you what, that's the best bet. But don't feel the pressure to buy something or engage in something that because it's name brand or because the larger contractors or whoever are doing it, that's not a reason for you to do it, because it just could cause you confusion and waste a lot of your time. I'm just trying to help you stay efficient. So remember these 3 points. Number one, having more tools does not necessarily make you better at what you do. Tools can enhance what you do, okay? But they don't make you successful. Number two, don't be inundated with all the choices. Just carve through it. Pick the simple stuff. And, just because you have a lot of tools, that doesn't mean you're not going to be content. You're not going to be happy. You're not going to be successful with what you do. And number three, pick something. Start simple and build from there. Talk to others you trust and select what works for you right now, and then you can build on that. So, but that's all I've got on this. I could talk about tools, but I think I've talked for a few minutes, and appreciate you coming along with me. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you've heard something here today that will help you in your work. And my desire is to pass on what I've learned to help you do what you do better. Take care, and next time I'll tell you something else. All right, have a good day.